Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Meghna Pippiri. I'm a manager at EY, focused on data protection and privacy. I'm here today to share with you an exciting topic that is one of my current interests, and I've been working lately with a lot of organizations. Uh, is how to prepare for the post-quantum cryptography era, and how NIST's approach will help in achieving cyber resiliency for the post-quantum era. So as we all know, in our increasing digital world, cybersecurity has become more important than ever. And as quantum computing technology advances, it poses a significant threat to our current encryption standards. So in today's session, we will explore some of the key aspects of post-quantum cryptography, which is understanding a little bit about the background of post-quantum cryptography, where are we today, the risks, and how NIST plays a role in identifying the challenges, risks, and some of the mitigation strategies. And finally, we will look at some of the practical considerations and approaches that the organization that the organizations are already working on or are prepping for the future to prepare for the post-quantum cryptography era. So first, let's start with a little bit of background. Now you might have heard a lot about quantum computers and how they could potentially break our current public key cryptography. This means that the systems we rely today to protect our information, something like online banking, secure file transfer systems, or secure communication challenges, could be vulnerable. That's where the post-quantum cryptography comes into picture, and it is designed to be resistant to these attacks from the quantum computers. And the good news is that National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, has already published the first set of PQC standards. This is a major step in protecting our information systems from future quantum threats. So now this is something we cannot just ignore and say that, oh yeah, we have time. No, we need to start planning for this transition now, and mainly those organizations that support critical infrastructure. So how is NIST building these standards? How are they giving us quantum readiness, right? So NIST is collaborating with Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and the National Security Agency, NSA, to create a strategy for quantum readiness. This means they are working together to make sure that we are prepared as organization for the transition to PQC. So when we talk about the landscape of computing, the revolutionary shift it is undergoing today, uh, quantum computer was once a theoretical concept, but today it is emerging as a reality. With its unprecedented processing powers, quantum computers promise to solve a lot of complex problems that are intraceable for classic computers. But as I said in the beginning, at the same time, they pose a challenge or risk to our public key cryptography. So in next few slides, we will dive deeper into specifics of PQC and the steps that organizations can take to prepare or be ready for the post-quantum era. So first, let's talk about some of the risks of the cryptography or risks to our current cryptography and infrastructure. Like the quantum computing machines, which are powerful, they are on the horizon and they have potential, as we discussed, to revolutionize many fields. But the catch that we have there is they could pose a serious risk to our current cryptographic systems. So let's break it down and talk in few more aspects or major risks that we see. The first we see is the impact on the digital infrastructure, right? So quantum computers could potentially break our encryption methods that we are currently using to protect our digital information. This could include RSA, ECC, and other widely used algorithms, specifically in our asymmetric cryptography. This could have a profound impact on our digital infrastructure, compromising the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of our sensitive data. So this is something that's impacting our digital infrastructure, but how it poses a threat to our cryptographic defenses, right? The powerful processing capabilities of the quantum computers could render our current cryptographic methods obsolete. This means that our sensitive data could be at the risk of being accessed by malicious actors who could potentially decrypt previously encrypted data. So what is NIST's role in identifying this risk, right? NIST is proactively addressing the challenges by leading the standardization process. And NIST has also been also evaluated and selected the PQC algorithms that are resistant to these attacks. As we saw in the previous slides, they are also coordinating with a lot of global cybersecurity organizations to help a smoother transition. So the last thing is an organization. What is the risk to us? We need to adopt this new cryptographic solutions, but the way we are today is these solutions are not fully available and cannot be implemented. So as an organization, we need to prepare for mitigating the risk that we see here by updating some of our existing cryptographic protocols and developing new security solutions, working with technology vendors, and make sure that we have assessed our environment and has put in all the required um, risks and mitigations in place for the post-quantum cryptography era. So, with saying that, let's talk about NIST's role. How is it taking the lead in developing and standardizing post-quantum era, right? Um, as we break down what NIST is doing, the first thing they are supporting is NIST has been at the forefront of researching quantum computing threats and developing robust cryptographic algorithms that can withstand these quantum threats. They have, as I mentioned, they have already published algorithms for public use, making them available for the entire cybersecurity community to test and validate. So to publish those algorithms, NIST has done evaluation selection. The process, as we all are aware, is rigorous. They've run a rigorous evaluation. They have held competitions to identify and select the most promising PQC algorithms. To ensure that these algorithms meet the highest standards of security and performance based on the threats and the risks that are identified today. NIST has also issued a detailed guidance for transition to PQC today, and they are actively collaborating, as I mentioned, with a lot of global standard bodies and industry experts. This collaborative approach ensures that the transition of PQC is broadly discussed and is smooth and efficient for all the organizations. So along with that, they are continuously monitoring these standards. They are finalizing it. So NIST is currently finalizing post-quantum cryptographic standards. They're planning for publishing the implementation guidelines. But as I mentioned, they have already selected a set of cryptographic standards, but um, they're also assessing the emerging threats and identifying requirements, new algorithms to address these evolving changes. So we've seen the NIST role, but what does that mean for us as a cybersecurity professional, right? We need to think about that perspective. It means that we need to start prepare for the quantum era now. We need to address our current cryptographic systems, identifying potential vulnerabilities, developing and planning for mitigation to PQC. This is a complex task, but it's essential to ensure that there is a long-term security for our digital infrastructures. This could be done. First step is could be establishing a good task force to look over the PQC program, professionals who are available within the organization. So as we've seen the NIST role and how, as a cybersecurity professional, what does this mean to us? Let's move on and talk about some of the challenges and mitigations that we have, right? Um, so I've categorized the challenges and the mitigations and respective mitigations majorly into three categories, based on what I've seen in the market. They are policy, technology, and organizations. First, well, let's talk about the policy aspect, right? When we are talking about the challenging of adopting PQC, right? We need to, like, there is a need for standardization and regulated PQC algorithms, and the compliance frameworks needs to be updated. This needs to accommodate new technologies. This is a big undertaking, but it is crucial for us to address the risk, or ensuring that the security of our digital infrastructure is present. So for this, um, this could be addressed in many ways. Some of the things that could, like, that can be done to mitigate the risk today, is establishing a quantum readiness roadmap, gathering the requirements for building cryptographic inventory. When we talk about building a cryptographic inventory, or what does an inventory look like? Let's talk about that in the technology piece in detail. As I mentioned in the previous slide, there needs to be a task force to oversee the PQC program. This will help organization to keep them on track, keep them achieve the quantum readiness roadmap milestones. So moving on to the technology piece, right? One of the biggest challenges we have seen with organizations is understanding the landscape of cryptography, which means where their critical cryptography system stays, what are the risks to it, what type of encryption mechanisms they use, things like that. And a phrase that has been used a lot lately is catch now, break later. And also, as we spoke about, public key cryptography or public key algorithms are at risk. So, as I mentioned in the previous stage, we are saying gather requirements for cryptographic inventory. What does this cryptography inventory should look like is what it comes into the picture. So, developing a cryptographic inventory to efficiently transition to PQC cryptographic environment. This is the first step. This involves identifying and cataloging all cryptographic assets within your organization. Think of it create is like creating inventory for retail store. Just as the store needs to know what products are on the shelf, an organization needs to know what cryptographic algorithms, keys, and protocols are in use. This inventory will serve as the foundation for planning and implementation of PQC solutions. Then moving on is to adopting these cryptography inventory tools. Once the inventory is developed, the next step is to adopt tools that can help maintain this inventory. Cryptography inventory tools can automate the process of discovering and cataloging the cryptographic assets, making it easier to keep the inventory up to date and accurate. So one more thing that we could do, it's an example, let's take an example here, is an healthcare provider adopts inventory to automatically scan its networks. They'll identify all the instances of cryptographic usage. Where their critical systems, what are the critical cryptographic systems? Where is the public key infrastructure sitting? Where are the different protocols of asymmetric key is being used? Or what are the different types of keys the inventory helps maintain that? And the other piece in the technology is identifying and implementing some intermittent solutions. One of the ones that we have widely seen being adopted is something like adding an additional TLS layer. Uh, this is TLS, like a widely used protocol that ensures secure communication over a network. Almost all the organizations use it. By adding an extra TLS layer, organizations can provide an additional level of protection against the potential quantum threats. Um, we have like a recent implementation that I've worked where an e-commerce company added an extra layer of adopted a solution which builds an extra layer of TLS for its data transfer systems with a one-time pass. We can talk, if you need to discuss about this in detail, you can reach out to me personally. But this is one of the solutions that we have lately seen as an intermittent solution that has been adopted. For the last one, which is the organization challenges, transitions are always tough for organizations with the amount of data, systems, users involved. So that's a bigger challenge. The interoperability and supply chain readiness is a bigger challenge because of the partners, third-party vendors, and everybody, included in the supply chain, need to be prepared for for the post-quantum cryptography effectively implemented. The last but not the least is educating and training our employees, right? So to address these, NIST is recommended to adopt a phased approach, generally implementing post-quantum crypto algorithms one by one, starting from critical systems to providing critical to non-critical systems could be one way, or from non-critical to critical systems could be the other way. But it has to be done in a phased approach. Discussing post-quantum roadmaps with your technology vendors is most important. It's part of the supply chain quantum readiness. We also need a lot of technology vendor collaborations where we ask them what is their roadmap for post-quantum cryptography, and what we are approaching meets the requirements for us to be equivalent to their requirements. The last but the least is updating the training material and educating employees. This is the most critical activity which needs to be done, which can be done today to prepare for the post-quantum era. So we've talked about challenges, how we need to prepare, but why is the requirement that we need to prepare now, right? My understanding on the proactive steps for the post-quantum resiliency, or you could say quantum resilience security, is because the first thing is this is a time-consuming process because it needs updates into the policies. We need to identify the quantum threatscape. Future proofing of data is really important because of how we have discussed about the malicious actors, how they can harvest the data today, or catch today, break later, or harvest now and decrypt later is a known trend in the market. So the last but not the least is the cryptographic vulnerabilities, right? We have spoken about how the quantum resistant PQC, how the quantum resistant PQC algorithms are being developed, but at the same time, how they pose threat to our existing systems. So we need to replace, update them significantly in future. So looking at all of this, organization needs to prepare today. So when I say that, in short, preparing for the quantum era is like complex, challenging task, but it's essential to ensure that long-term security for our digital infrastructure. By taking these proactive steps now, we can mitigate the risk posed by quantum computing and protect our sensitive data in future. So with that, let's look at some of the action steps for the quantum readiness, right? So we have talked about quantum threats, the need to prepare for the quantum era, but what are the specific steps that we can take to get ready? Let's break that down. Let's break down the key action items that we need. So one, quantum readiness roadmap, right? Creating a detailed roadmap is crucial for a successful transition to PQC. This involves identifying key milestones, allocating resources, establishing a dedicated task force to oversee the mitigation process. We have heard of several organizations today where they are building a task force from their cryptography teams to develop roadmaps, update their policies, gathering the requirements for the cryptographic inventories, and more. The second one that organization can take step is to conduct a comprehensive inventories, right? So the first step in any security initiatives is understanding your assets. We need to identify, document all system assets that are vulnerable to quantum attacks. This information will help us prioritize our mitigation efforts and also allocate resources effectively. The third step is applying risk assessments and identifying solutions. So now, once with the help of building inventory, we will establish a clear understanding of our assets. So now we need to assess the risks associated with quantum computing. for these assets. This involves evaluating potential impact to critical systems to protect based on the assessment. We can prioritize our mitigation efforts and research appropriate to find an appropriate PQC solution. The last but not the least is engaging and collaborating with vendors. As we have seen in previous slides, when I mean vendors, it's not just technology vendors. It could be our third-party vendors in our supply chain or our partners in the supply chain, right? The transition to PQC is a complex process, so it needs a lot of collaboration with technology vendors. We need to work closely with our vendors to ensure their products and services are quantum resistant. This includes aligning our quantum readiness plans, sharing the information, and collaborating on developing new quantum safe technologies. By taking these proactive steps, we can mitigate the risks posed by quantum computing and ensure the long-term security of our digital infrastructure. So with that, I conclude saying that as we stand on the brink of the quantum era, it's crucial to recognize the potential threats that we discuss, the threats it poses to our current cryptographic systems. Quantum computers with their immense processing powers could compromise our security of our digital systems. So by following some of the strategies or approach that we have seen, we can ensure in long term the security of our digital assets. With that, if you would like to discuss more about these topics or understand our approach towards PQC, please feel free to contact me on my email ID, and I'll be happy to discuss with you. Thank you.